Hello everyone, I'm MVL and welcome to this unboxing and review of the PlayStation Classic, a mini plug-and-play version of the original PlayStation, featuring 20 games from the best of the PlayStation console. Now, the validity of that statement is debatable. Nevertheless, let's check out what we have in this box. And if you stick around to the end, I'll show you some gameplay footage and compare it to the original PlayStation console as well. Now, we have a little bit of boxception here. Inside of the outer box, we have this white box with the PlayStation logo on. It looks kind of smart, but I want to get to the product, so we open this up, and inside of that, we have another box. Fortunately, this one does contain the product, so as we pull this out, we can see the PlayStation Classic right there, the little mini console that I want to get my hands on. We also have this booklet here, some information. I don't care about that, there's no way we're going to read that. We don't need instructions, but we do need to get this box open. So here we go, opening that up, and we can get our hands on the PlayStation Classic. So here it is, really nice, really small. I'm going to unwrap it here and get a good look at it. I'll show you everything we've got here. We have the controller ports at the front, memory card slots that obviously don't work, and on the front here we have some buttons which do work. The CD tray unfortunately doesn't open, and on the back here we have a HDMI out and a USB power supply. Now, the rest of the box was a little bit of a puzzle, but I did finally figure out how to get it open, and we get to the rest of the content of the PlayStation Classic. Now, this box was a bit of a handful, so it's going to be a bit of a handful to put back together, but regardless, we finally got to the rest of the PlayStation Classic, and here we have the controllers. So let's take that out of the plastic and have a good look at it. Feels quite nice, feels pretty good compared to the original. The plastic does feel different. It's more plasticky, which is a weird way to describe it, but because it's new plastic, it definitely has a different feel to the original controllers, that's for sure. Although it doesn't feel bad by any means. And we have another controller here as well, two controllers in the bundle, pretty good. And we also have a USB lead, but no USB power supply unfortunately, and a HDMI lead. Pretty good to have a HDMI lead, it's nice and long, and there's nothing else in the box. So let's have a look at everything you have included with the PlayStation Classic. First of all, you don't get a USB power supply. You will need one of these to play it. You do, however, get a lead. Now, for the price of this, I would have rather had a power supply than a HDMI cable, though it is nice and long and nice to have. But I would have rather had a power supply. You get two controllers, which is pretty good. I like having two controllers. They're USB, although I hear they won't work with your PC, only with this. Then you have the console itself, obviously, and this lovely box. Anyway, let's compare it to the original console so you get a good look at how it stacks up to the real deal. So here's the PlayStation Classic Mini and the original PlayStation. Can you tell which is which? Of course you can, because one is significantly smaller. But then again, that doesn't mean it's better, does it? Aesthetically, they look very similar, except of course, my PlayStation is very dirty, but you know, it still works. And I will say that you can get a PlayStation console for around about £15 from CEX, and it will come with a warranty, so that's another option. Of course, the original PlayStation controller has a very long lead. These have a pretty good lead, you know, better than the NES Classic did, but then the NES Classic had a very good selection of games. Comparing these two controllers together, it feels pretty good, but the plastic does feel different. Definitely feels more, and I'll say it again, plasticky. The texture is just different. The plastic is different. It's of course newer, and it's not as smooth as the original controller, I will say. The original controller is quite smooth. This feels just new, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It feels quite good. Let's plug this in and get this system up and running so I can show you some gameplay footage. I'll show you all of the games on the system, and then I will compare them to the original so you get a good look at what it looks like. So let's push the button and turn this on. Okay, so here we go. The menu is pretty simple and there's no music. The games are as follows: Battle Arena Toshinden, Cool Borders 2, Destruction Derby, Final Fantasy VII, Grand Theft Auto, Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, Metal Gear Solid, Mr. Driller, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, Rayman, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Revelations Persona, R4 Ridge Racer Type 4, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Siphon Filter, Tekken 3, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, Twisted Metal, and Wild Arms. Now we have some settings here that we can look at. First of all, I will show you in the guide section the console button guide. So this is what the buttons do. The reset button quits the game and goes to the home screen. The power button of course turns it off and on again, and the open button changes virtual disks during gameplay for games that have more than one disc. Here's a virtual memory card where you can save your games the traditional way, which is cool, and you have this resume point, which is a save state. You only have one of these per game. So here's some gameplay of Resident Evil on the PlayStation Classic. Now I was very excited to play this game because I was really hoping we would have the uncensored in-color cutscenes that originally was supposed to happen in the UK release, but due to a localization error that happened with the German and French release. And it's really disappointing. You can see Chris is really mad right there. I don't know why they couldn't have done that. There's absolutely no reason they couldn't have put a definitive version on this system. No reason whatsoever. So this looks pretty good, but let's compare it to the original PlayStation and see how they stack up side by side. So here we have both next to each other, the PlayStation Classic on the left and the original PlayStation on the right. And I will say, they both look pretty good. The original PlayStation here is going through RGB SCART and through an upscaler because my capture card wouldn't record it any other way. Other than that, they both look pretty good to me. I'll give you a better look right here. Here's the original PlayStation full screen. Now I will say, my preference to play a console like this would be on a CRT TV through RGB SCART. You could also play it on a modern television the same way I'm doing here with an upscaler, which is how I'm recording it, because for some reason my Elgato won't capture PlayStation 1 footage unless it's been upscaled. And this looks pretty good. This is how I stream PlayStation 1 games currently through an upscaler. It looks great to me. I've got no problems with this whatsoever. There's going to be some color discrepancies between these two because of my capture settings. I also had to change the aspect ratio because my Elgato recorded it in widescreen, but the PlayStation Classic of course puts black borders on either side. Here you have the PlayStation Classic. The colors are different, again that could be due to my capture settings. And here we have that great scene of the zombie, should be biting off the head of that STARS member right there, but that's cut out. I would have really liked to have the uncensored version. What a shame. Regardless, this still looks really good to me. It seems to run a bit faster. You don't have the disc reading slowing it down in sections like I do with the original PlayStation. Another thing to keep in mind is that some of these games are being emulated in PAL format. I come from a PAL region, but some of these games aren't being emulated in PAL format as well. I tried to stack up some other gameplay with Final Fantasy VII between the original and the emulated version, and I couldn't get them running in sync. So there is definitely a speed difference in some of these games, especially if you're from an NTSC region. You will find that some of these games may be running differently with those PAL versions. Now let me show you the save state slot. You can press the reset button at any time during the game to take you back to the main menu, and you'll have a resume point to pick the action up right from where you left off. The game will also remind you if the game requires the disc to be changed during gameplay. And here we have it, back in the action of Final Fantasy VII. Now I picked this console up to have an easy way to live stream some of these games, but I really don't think it offers much of an improvement over the original console, especially with the game selection missing a lot of the true PlayStation classics like Tomb Raider, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Silent Hill, but that's probably down to licensing and other issues. The Nintendo Minis were a lot better. That's not to say you shouldn't get this if your heart is set on it and you want a quick and easy way to play these games. And that's it. That's my unboxing and review of the PlayStation Classic. If you like the video, please leave a like or comment to let me know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content. And if you like, you can support me on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you for watching. I've been MVL and I will catch you next time.